From having to check in with gangs before shooting,
Guys gave me permission to come into their neighborhoods. They were so supportive, and I wanted them to be in the movie.
to actors almost getting taken out by gang members.
Remember that famous scene in Training Day in Imperial Courts?
Yeah.
Do you remember when they filmed that out there?
Hell yeah, man. I was a little kid. First of all, y'all just can't come over here without, you know what I'm saying, involving our hood. Denzel came over there and he grabbed a group of guys and hired them. Got the homies to watch the trailers and like that, and then we just got in good. But far as coming over there and pressing and all that, yeah, we was on their ass.
These are some times when Hollywood had to get permission from the streets before filming.
Some of the people featured in that movie, like I think got killed because of them being in that movie. 6 people got killed over American Me.
Yeah, probably about
just being part of it.
He lied about getting permission to do it.
Aha.
He said he went up to talk to Joe Morgan, and
Joe Morgan is the guy?
Yeah, Joe Morgan told me no, he didn't.
Starting with the classic colors, the film follows a seasoned LAPD crash officer and his rookie partner as they tried to tackle the escalating gang violence in Los Angeles. But the actors just never expected to face actual gangsters.
He's like, what? It's like, I'll smoke you in this car right now. I was like, I'm about to get killed on the set of a movie.
Wow.
For saying my lines as an actor.
Wow.
To make the film as authentic as possible, the production even hired 15 real gang members as extras, but the producer claimed it was only 6.
You hired gang members to be in this film.
Well,
they're going to be on the big silver screen there.
There were 6 extras who were brought in by a probation officer.
According to producer Robert H. Solo, the goal was to give these guys a way to make money that didn't involve selling drugs.
He wanted to give them a chance to earn some money which was not earned by selling drugs.
It was also a chance to put them in the same space as police officers without any hostility, something almost unheard of at the time.
2, to put them in the same area and with police officers, not in a confrontational situation.
That all sounds like a good idea on paper, but in reality, it nearly went sideways. Don Cheadle, who played Rocket, a Crip leader in the film, later revealed that he almost lost his life just by saying his lines. Apparently, he unknowingly disrespected a real gang member on set, and things got tense fast.
And I was supposed to tell him to shut the in the thing, right? So J-Bo's sitting behind me in the thing, and we get ready to do the shot, and I'm like, man, shut the and we cut, and he's like, shut the
But the drama didn't stop on set. Colors sparked even bigger controversies once it was set to hit theaters. Organizations like the NAACP, the LA County Sheriff's Department, and the Guardian Angels protested the film, arguing that it would only fuel more violence in the streets. They saw it as something that could escalate tensions rather than just portray them.
It has sparked a variety of protests and worries that it could inspire more violence.
It incites and inflames the issue.
Like pouring gasoline on a fire. We have a fire going already.
The filmmakers, on the other hand, pushed back hard, saying they were simply showing real life as it was, with the help of both gang members and law enforcement to ensure authenticity.
This movie is not going to incite violence. It's going to educate people to what's really happening so that maybe there can be some answer to the problem that exists.
Authorities were especially worried that the film's raw portrayal of gang violence would push things over the edge. One LA deputy sheriff even warned that if Colors was shown in the city, there would be dead bodies from one end of town to the other. He and others demanded that the movie be banned in LA altogether.
What it will do is incite young gang members to kill policemen, incite young gang members like they're doing now to shoot people on the street.
But director Dennis Hopper wasn't having it. He stood by his work, arguing that the film wasn't about glorifying gang life, but exposing the harsh reality of it.
I don't see how it can incite any more gang violence that's happening here. We had 13 people shot last weekend, and in one drive-by. This does not glorify gangs.
Even some psychologists at the time backed him up, suggesting that if anything, Colors might actually discourage young people from joining gangs by showing the dangers up close.
The good guys win and the bad guys lose. Gang members aren't victorious. And people were saying, as a result of this film, youngsters may want to join gangs. I think as a result of this film, maybe a lot of youngsters might want to be cops.
Meanwhile, actual gang members had their own critiques of the film. Some said that unlike what Colors depicted, the Crips, Bloods, and Hispanic gangs weren't always at war with each other in the way the movie suggested.
From the movie Colors, the whole movie is wrong. It's Bloods against the Crips, but we not having war with Hispanics though. Like in the movie Colors, it don't go like that.
Next up is Menace II Society, the classic that put the Hughes brothers on the map in their directorial debut. Set in the Watts and Crenshaw neighborhoods of Los Angeles, the film follows the life of Kane Lawson, played by Tyron Turner, and his close friends as they navigate the harsh realities of street life.
Come on, man, wait, man.
Right from the jump, the movie made waves for its raw and unfiltered portrayal of violence, drugs, and gang culture, setting a new standard for hood films. Filming took place in Watts, an area controlled by the Grape Street Watts Crips, which meant the production had to be extra cautious. Instead of hiring traditional security, the filmmakers enlisted real gang members to provide protection on set. The Hughes brothers were fully aware of how dangerous it was to make a movie about gang culture in LA, especially after what happened with Colors. That film had sparked real-life violence, so this time the directors made a conscious choice to avoid naming the Crips or Bloods directly in the script.
They didn't want to say Crip or Blood in the movie. We needed somebody that would just like have the street.
Right.
They wanted to capture the realities of the streets without giving any specific sets, direct publicity, or adding more fuel to an already burning fire. Some of the actors in the film weren't just playing gangsters on screen. They had real street ties. Rapper MC8, who played AWACS, had actual gang experience, and Tyron Turner, who portrayed Kane, also had connections to that life. This added another layer of authenticity to the film, but it also meant that Menace II Society carried an energy that extended beyond just being a movie. It was real to a lot of people. Of course, the film wasn't without its fair share of controversy. One of the biggest behind-the-scenes dramas involved Tupac Shakur, who was originally cast as Sharif, the Muslim character in the film. However, he had major disagreements with the Hughes brothers over how the character should be portrayed. Shakur wanted Sharif to have more depth, rather than just being the token preacher friend, but the directors wouldn't budge. The tension between them escalated, and 6 months later, Tupac physically attacked co-director Alan Hughes, leading to a conviction for assault and battery.
Tell them how you did what you had to do. Punk, slump, you know what I'm saying? Look, you'll have a chance to come here and rebuttal. No, they won't. They better come now. Check this out. They fired me, but did it in a roundabout punk snitch way. So I caught them on the streets and beat they behind. You know what I'm saying?
Another surprising casting change involved none other than Eazy-E. The NWA legend was originally considered for the role of O-Dog, but creative differences and control issues led to him being replaced by Lawrence Tate, who went on to give an unforgettable performance. Tyron Turner, who played the lead role of Kane, also had a crazy experience during filming. At one point, he actually ended up incarcerated, and while he was locked up, inmates threw bologna sandwiches at him.
I ended up going to the county jail and It was. I remember being super cold, and then they were throwing. They were throwing bologna sandwiches. I said, "Hold on, what the bologna?"
The controversy didn't stop there. In May 1993, at a screening of Menace II Society in a St. Paul, Minnesota suburb, gunfire erupted, leaving 3 people injured. The film's impact was so strong that even after it hit theaters, actors from the movie were being street tested by people in their own neighborhoods. In many cases, this meant getting pressed by locals who wanted to see if they were really about that life or just playing a role.
Because people will test you. People will test you. People will.
How often did you get tested? You, especially you playing a role that you was playing. You was a hard body in the movie.
I got tested a lot.
For some actors, the attention wasn't just from fans. It was from real gangsters who took their performances a little too seriously. Next up is a fan favorite, which some people argue is Denzel Washington's best work to date, Training Day. Released on October 5th, 2001 by Warner Bros. Pictures, it received generally positive reviews from critics, who praised the performances of Washington and Ethan Hawke. The film garnered numerous accolades and nominations, with Washington earning the Academy Award for Best Actor, and Hawke being nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the 74th Academy Awards. Now, to make Training Day as authentic as it was, director Antoine Fuqua wanted to shoot on location in some of Los Angeles' most infamous neighborhoods. CLE Shahid Sloan, the gang technical advisor for the film, recalls that when Fuqua told him about wanting to shoot in these locations, he warned that it would get a little dirty. He told the crew that if they were willing to get dirty to make a dirty movie, then they could make it happen.
Really be authentic. He wanted to really be, hardcore. And I said, I think I can get you guys there, but it's gonna be real dirty. So if the crew's willing to get a little dirty to make a dirty movie, we can make it happen.
This was no small task. Some neighborhoods even had a strict no cameras policy.
I'm telling you, no cameras have been in Imperial Courts the way we were And in the jungle, they have a policy of no cameras, totally.
One of the biggest challenges was that Denzel Washington himself had to check in with the Crips gang before they could even begin shooting because they wanted to film in one of the most off-limits places in the area. So Denzel and the director had to meet with the gang, show them the trailer, and even hire some of them to be part of the shoot.
We remember that famous scene in Training Day in Imperial Courts.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they filmed that out there?
Hell yeah, man. I was a little kid. First of all, y'all just can't come over here without, involving our hood.
If they hadn't done this, things could have gone south very quickly. Police officer later commented on one of the filming locations, saying that the things that went down there were things you would only see in movies, highlighting the real danger the crew faced.
Have you ever seen the movie Training Day? The very end where they're in that cul-de-sac? That's where I did my probation. I did my probation there for a year. Really crazy stuff. That I only would see in movies type like legitimately. It was bad. It was really bad.
Thanks to their technical advisors, the Training Day crew eventually obtained permission to shoot in the Imperial Courts housing project. This was the first time LA street gangs had allowed a film crew to be brought into that neighborhood. The crew also filmed in other notorious locations like Hoover Block and Baldwin Village. Parts of the film were shot on a dead-end street called Palmwood Drive, where members of the Black P. Stones Blood Gang were seen on the rooftops. Now, thankfully, things went smoothly for Training Day, but the same can't be said for Straight Outta Compton.
They have the authority to kill a minority.
Straight Outta Compton is considered a classic film that chronicles the rise of the legendary rap group NWA at a time when rap hadn't yet become a major part of pop culture. The biopic received positive reviews from critics, who praised its performances, direction, screenplay, and musical sequences. However, it wasn't without criticism, as many pointed out various historical inaccuracies. But despite this, the film was a box office hit, grossing over $201 million on a production budget between $28 million and $50 million. Now, this film's production wasn't smooth sailing. It faced several controversies, including issues with casting calls and multiple acts of violence on set. Tragically, one person was killed. The set experienced a drive-by shooting, and they even had to hire actual gang members for protection. First off, for the sake of authenticity, the filmmakers had to shoot some scenes in Compton where gang activity remains a reality. This decision inadvertently reignited old gang rivalries, causing tensions to flare and tragically resulting in the death of one man. The filmmakers were forced to negotiate with local gangs to maintain peace on set, and this constant threat of violence added a dangerous edge to the production, reminiscent of the violent days of West Coast hip-hop. They needed someone who knew the lay of the land, so the filmmakers brought on CLE Bone Sloan, a Bloods affiliate, to help navigate the tricky terrain. Bone, who had appeared in the movie Training Day, was there to keep things authentic and keep local tensions in check. According to a lawsuit, his duties included recruiting known gang members to serve as cast members and extras for the filming, as well as to provide security for on-location shooting in gang-controlled neighborhoods. Bone had a long-standing beef with Suge Knight spanning more than a decade of bad blood. One of Bone's tasks was specifically to keep Knight away from the set. Unfortunately, this hiring decision would turn out to be deadly. After taping a promotional spot for Straight Outta Compton at a Compton barbershop called Holiday Styles in January, the crew broke for lunch and headed to their trailers on North Bullis Road, a Piru-controlled area. Knight showed up in his red Ford F-150 Raptor, which sent Dre's team into a panic. According to Bone's account to the police, Knight approached Ice Cube's head of security, Kibo, calmly saying, "I come in peace. I didn't come down here to start no problems. That's why I came by myself." Kibo later told Esquire UK, "I want to request a meeting with Cube, and it don't have to be today." He was cool, collected, not looking for trouble. An insider who wanted to stay anonymous said Kibo assured Knight that his compensation for allowing an actor to portray him in the film would be sent soon. But before anything could be peacefully resolved, Bone showed up and got in Knight's face. They had a heated exchange before the sheriff stepped in and Knight left. Knight was heading home when he got a call from Terry Carter, a local guy with his fingers in a lot of pies. Carter worked on lowriders and had started a record label called Heavyweight with Ice Cube. He offered to help smooth things over between Knight and the filmmakers. They met near Tam's Burgers on West Rosecrans Avenue, talking through their car windows. But Bone, who had apparently followed Knight, arrived too. He jumped a fence and started beating Knight through his truck's window. In the chaos, Knight sped off, accidentally running over Bone's ankles and tragically killing Carter, who had stepped out of his car.
The video obtained by TMZ shows the January 29th incident where Knight's truck apparently runs over the two men. The truck backs up, hits one man. Seconds later, the truck comes back and runs over.
The filmmakers would also face a wrongful death lawsuit filed by Terry Carter's widow, Lillian Carter. The suit sought unspecified damages from Universal Studios, Dre, Cube, Tams Burgers, and others. It alleged that the defendants knew or should have known that putting Knight and Bone in proximity could lead to a violent confrontation and collateral damage. In addition, Knight allegedly issued multiple threatening warnings to the film's director, F. Gary Gray, during filming. Though Gray would later testify that he couldn't recall any calls or texts threatening his safety, Deputy District Attorney Cynthia Barnes suggested this was intentional perjury, possibly out of fear. Knight was supposedly furious about how he was depicted in the movie and felt slighted that he wasn't compensated for his portrayal. The production also faced public relations issues. In August 2014, a casting call for actresses was widely criticized as racist. The memo categorized women by their looks and skin tone, with A girls being the hottest of the hot, B girls needing to be light-skinned, and D girls expected to be out of shape with medium to dark skin tone. The message was clear: the darker the skin, the less attractive the actress. This caused an uproar and cast a shadow over the production. Now back in the 1990s, whenever one of these movies hit the cinemas, every street gang and gangster wanted to see it. With not many cinemas around, everyone ended up in the same place. This led to some of the most violent nights in American history, with gang rivalries erupting right outside the theaters.
Good evening. A Chicago man was killed and 20 other people were wounded in disturbances around the country last night. Disturbances linked to the opening of a movie called Boyz in the Hood.
Shots erupted just minutes before the movie started last night in Universal City, California. 5 young men were wounded. In downtown Minneapolis, 6 people were shot.
Take Boyz in the Hood, for example. On July 14, 1991, 23-year-old writer-director John Singleton debuted his masterpiece, Boyz in the Hood. This haunting story depicted the lives of young black men in the gang-ridden South Central Los Angeles and starred notable Hollywood actors like Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube, Angela Bassett, Lawrence Fishburne, and Morris Chestnut. The final frame of the movie features the message "Increase the Peace," a plea directed at both the 800 gangs in LA at the time and the LAPD, who are portrayed in the film as an antagonistic force engaging in racial profiling and harassment in hopes of provoking arrests. Despite this call for peace, gang violence erupted at theaters nationwide on opening night. John Singleton spent the opening night moving around Los Angeles, discreetly slipping into the back of theaters to observe the audience, as directors often like to do. Just minutes after he left the Cineplex Odeon theaters in Universal City near downtown LA, gunfire broke out, wounding 5 people. The lights went down, and the screen lit up, and then it just went crazy. There was gunfire. These guys were just chasing each other all over, a 19-year-old moviegoer told the LA Times. Another moviegoer told the Associated Press people were stampeding. People were running into the bathroom. The violence wasn't limited to Los Angeles. Reports of shootings came in from theaters near gang territories such as Universal City, Upland, and Chino, as well as from theaters far from gang areas, including San Francisco, Sacramento, Minneapolis, Riverdale, Illinois, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and New Springfield, Massachusetts. In total, there were incidents at 20 of the 900 theaters showing the movie. For instance, 4 people were arrested in Jersey City after a fight broke out in a shopping mall before a showing of the film. In Chicago, a 19-year-old man was stabbed by 2 attackers while leaving a theater. In downtown Minneapolis, a shot was fired inside a theater, possibly with the intention of causing a riot, which allowed shooters in a nearby car to open fire on pedestrians as they fled into the street. This incident resulted in 4 people being wounded, 2 of them critically. Looking back, Frank Price, the chairman of Columbia Pictures who greenlit Boyz in the Hood, shared his perspective with The Atlantic. He suggested that the press might have been eager to sensationalize the violence, stating, "If you had an incident within a mile of the theater, it was somehow connected to Boyz in the Hood." I think that tamped down the box office. There were some people who got the impression that it might be dangerous to go to the movie. It's hard to get people to risk their lives to attend your movie, worthwhile as it may be. In the aftermath of the violence, similar to what happened with incidents in Aurora and Lafayette, there was a re-examination of theater security. As Deadline recently explained, theater security is a factor that is negotiated between studios and exhibitors. When a theater books a volatile movie that could trigger violence, studios in the past sometimes have shared on-site security costs with movie chains. This was Columbia Pictures' approach to the violence associated with Boyz in the Hood. Rather than pulling the movie from theaters, they increased their contributions to security costs. Ultimately, they supported their director John Singleton, who addressed the press by saying, "The violence is indicative of the degeneration of American society, not a reflection of my film, which is about family, love, and friendship. I didn't create the conditions under which people shoot each other. This happens because there's a whole generation of people who are disenfranchised." Singleton, who based the movie on his own experiences growing up in South Central LA, stood firmly by his creation. "I won't turn my back on my brothers. I hope they don't turn their back on me." To withdraw the film would be an act of artistic racism. His stance highlighted the importance of confronting societal issues through art rather than shying away from them.